This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, hello, ho there, it's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, October the 15th, 1988, Kirk Gibson hit his dramatic home run and all that. Now let's talk about how we started the 1988 World Series. This was game one, yes, but we need some context about this. The LA Dodgers had a strange pitch batting thing. Team batting did not take top 5 in any offensive statistical category except for batting average at 248. In fact, no regular or backup hit past the 300 mark. Or to put it plainly, getting 3 hits in every 10 official at bats, or even drove in 90 runs. Kirk Gibson got 25 home runs, but was 7th in the National League. Pedro Guerrero had a subpar year, was actually traded to St. Louis for John Tudor because they needed pitcher help. Kirk Gibson was named to the All-Star game, but he even declined it. The Dodgers were 6th in the NL in runs scored. Well, it was a 12-team league, basically. But the pitching helped out the offense, obviously. Despite trading Bob Welch to Oakland prior to spring training, because Bob Welch was a Dodger lifer who even pitched in the 1981 World Series. And also with Fernando Valenzuela getting injured, the Dodgers were 2nd in team ERA and led the league in complete games and shutouts. The reason? Orel Hershiser, who won the Cy Young. He led the league in winning percentage with a 23-8 mark, but 864 winning percentage, 15 complete games, 8 shutouts, and all that. Now here's the thing, though. Hershiser was carrying a 58-inning scoreless streak at the end of 1988. That meant he didn't give up an earned run a run at 58 innings. However, there were a couple of times that Hershiser were close to losing it. One time he thought he gave up a run to a botched double play, but they ruled that the second base runner for the Giants actually slid in on purpose to try to break up the double play in such a way that they awarded a double play. Anyway, Hershiser was backed up by Tim Leary and Tim Belcher. And no, Tim Leary is not the guy who was that psychedelic doctor, whatever you want to call it. And John Tudor helped the staff. The bullpen was outstanding. Jay Howell was the closer. Alejandro Pena put up some good numbers before he went to the Braves and basically became a footnote. And Jesse Orozco was a Dodger. Surprised that the Mets would get rid of him. The Dodger bullpen led the league in saves with 49, despite the fact that Howell had the most with 21. It was basically the intensity and fortitude for the 88 Dodgers. Kirk Gibson was signed as a free agent over the winter from the Tigers. Of course, Kirk Gibson was part of that collusion thing to try to drive salaries down. But Kirk Gibson was so upset, he decided to take the Tigers deal no matter what, to leave the Tigers for the Dodgers. And Hershiser would have that 59 consecutive scoreless inning streak, beating Don Drysdale's name. Hershiser would be the main reason why the Dodgers pounded those heavily favored Mets in the NLCS. Gibson was hurt, but he still produced. Oakland, on the other hand, were powerful. They were heavily favored. They had the Bash brothers, Mark McGwire and Jose Canseco. Canseco became the first player to hit the 40-40 mark. 40 home runs, having at least 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases. He would be the MVP, obviously. Dave Henderson and Dave Parker would contribute with their bats and experience. And the weird thing for Don Baylor is he was part of the 88 A's team. But this was the 3rd straight year that Baylor would have a World Series with a different team. He was part of the 86 Red Sox who lost, and the 87 Twins who won. So we'll see if Baylor can win back-to-back World Series. Oakland had a good pitching staff in the AL in 1988. They were the leaders in ERA, wins, saves, and were seconds in strikeouts. Dave Stewart was the ace of his staff. Ironically, Stewart used to pitch for the Dodgers for like 5 seasons. He got to 20 wins. Bob Welch, who was traded to Oakland in the spring training, put up 17 wins, and Storm Davis with 16. Dennis Eckersley would go from starter to closer for the 88 season, and he was dominant. Rick Honeycutt became a setup man for Eckersley and did well. So, them's the breaks. On a beautiful Saturday evening, October 15, 1988, at Dodger Stadium, NBC would broadcast the World Series, and it would be Tim Belcher and Dave Stewart on the mound. The Dodgers were at a disadvantage. Gibson could not start and was listed as day-to-day due to his pulled left hamstring and a severely swollen right knee. And since Hershiser had to pitch Game 7 of the LCS, they had to start Tim Belcher. LA would put up a pair of runs. In the first inning, when Dave Stewart had a balk that got sacks to second base. Mickey Hatcher hit a home run off Dave Stewart to make it 2-0. But Hatcher ran full speed around the bases. And color commentator for NBC, Joe Garagiola, said he ran in like they thought they were going to take it off the scoreboard. He circled those bases in a hurry. Sure did. However, the A's would put up 4 runs in the second thanks to Jose Canseco's grand slam off the NBC camera. It seemed that the NBC camera then went down. Like the guy put the camera down when the ball was coming at it and it dinged off the top. Canseco would score himself, Glenn Hubbard, Dave Stewart, and Carney Lansford in the process. Ironically, Canseco's grand slam was the only hit of the World Series for him. Really. And Mark McGwire only had 1 hit in the 88 World Series. That was a home run to win the game in Game 3. So anyway, the Dodgers cut the lead to 4-3 after 3 singles by Mike Marshall, not the star reliever, John Shelby, and Mike Scioscia. Dodgers were down 4-3. Unbeknownst to him, when Kirk Gibson was watching the game on TV while going physical therapy, at some point, Vin Scully said that Gibson is nowhere to be found and basically figured that he was done for. It was ironic because Vin Scully was the main guy for the Dodgers on TV and radio. Gibson decided to call for the team ball boy to set up the team, make him do some warm-up swings. So, anyway, Tommy Lasorda was called into the thing, in the fray, to see this. So anyway, Dennis Eckersley would pitch the 9th as he normally did. He got Scioscia and Jeff Hamilton out. So Mike Davis, who was batting for Alfredo Griffin, came on, and he walked. And Dave Anderson was going to hit for the pitcher, Alejandro Pena. And rumors were that Eckersley pitched carefully to Davis. Some people said it was because of the line hitting Anderson on deck. However, it was because Mike Davis hit some home runs for the A's in the 87 season, and they knew about his things. So Davis walked. Anderson was called back, and Kirk Gibson came up hobbled amid massive cheers. Gibson would foul off Eckersley's best offerings, and he figured that he was going to throw that 3-2 backdoor slider. The 8th pitch of the bat, Gibson would hit the backdoor slider into the right field bleachers to win the game. It was amazing and all that. I can get the radio call. Oh, I can't really get the calls. They're not telling me what the calls are. Unless I'm doing something. Because I would like to read to you the 2 home run calls that were famous. Oh, here we go. There were 3 calls. Wow. Don Drysdale's was for the Dodgers radio thing and said, this time Mighty Casey did not strike out. And then Vince Scully came in. High fly ball into right field. She is gone. After a minute of silence, Scully let the fans get into the soundtrack. In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened. And Jack Buck did it for the CBS. National call. Jack Buck did this. Free pitch from Eckersley. Gibson swings at a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable. A home run for Gibson. And the Dodgers have won the game 5-4. I don't believe what I just saw. I don't believe what I just saw. This was amazing and all that. I mean, Jack Buck's call was amazing and all that. So this was amazing. Gibson would never bat after this in the 88 World Series. But hey, you know what? It's amazing. This was the first time that a World Series game ended with a come from behind home run. In fact, Game 1 is the only game in World Series history that a team that hit a grand slam did not win the game. And of course, failed to win the series. But the only other time a team hit a grand slam in a World Series game was 1956 in Game 2 for the Yankees, but they lost because Don Larson was off his game. But unbeknownst to them, 7 days before this happened, well, on October the 8th, 1956, Don Larson would pitch a no-hitter, a complete game, and a perfect game. The Dodgers would crush Oakland 6-0 as Earl Hershiser easily got Oakland scoped. Storm Davis was just brutal. All that. Hershiser, in fact, got 3 hits in Game 2, becoming the first pitcher since Art Neff in 1924 to do that. Game 3 was at Oakland, and it was a tight affair. Bob Welsh would face John Tudor. Unfortunately for the Dodgers, Tudor had tightness in his pitching shoulder, so Tim Leary and Alejandro Pena had to come in. Jay Howell pitched the ninth and gave up the winning home run to Mark McGwire. So Rick Honeycutt got the win. But the Dodgers didn't let that go. They crushed Stewart for a pair of runs, scoring 2 runs in the first inning. In fact, in Game 4, because their 2 20 home run men were hurt, Kirk Gibson and Mike Marshall, they had to go with one of the latest hitting World Series teams since the dead ball era. As the starting lineup of Steve Sachs, Frank Stubbs, Mickey Hatcher, Mike Davis, John Shelby, Denny Heap, who was the DH because, and only because, this was an American ballpark. Jeff Hamilton, Mike Sosham, Alfredo Griffin combined for 36 home runs. Amazing. And Canseco McGuire put up 74 combined. And Canseco put up 42 home runs himself. But the Dodgers scored 2 in the first. It was a tight game, 4-3, as Belcher beat Stewart. Jay Howell picked up the save. In Game 5, Hershiser came. And yes, he did give up a few runs, but that didn't count in the scoreless inning streak because that was in the regular season. So Hershiser took care of Storm Davis easily, 5-2. Without Oral Hershiser, I think the Dodgers would not have done so well. In fact, the Dodgers were the first and only teams so far to have a perfect game pitched against them and to win the World Series in the same year because Tom Browning pitched a perfect game September 88 against them, but they still won the World Series. And it would be amazing. In fact, when the Lakers won in 1988 the NBA title, it marked the first time in history that LA was the first city to have the NBA and World Series champions in the same year. So this was amazing and all that. So The Dodgers outscored the A's 21-11. That's pretty good. That's not half bad. And all of that. The Dodgers would not come back to the World Series till 2017, losing to Houston in that year that was marred by the cheating scandal. The Dodgers did get the World Series. They are the defending champs. And yes, they did beat the San Francisco Giants in Game 5. Winner take all. So they get revenge for 1951 and 1962. The A's would get to the World Series the next 2 years, winning in 89, which I will talk about in a couple of days, and being swept in 1990 by the Reds. So, yeah, 1988 was a great year for Kirk Gibson, and one we'll never forget. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.